everyone, welcome on in. I'm Velvet. Thanks for joining me today for the speed build for an eclectic family home. So this home came about in a really interesting fashion, and it's a little different from what I probably would have done with this house shape, but it was a lot of fun and it was a really big building challenge, and I'm going to talk about that in a second to let you guys know how this how this build actually came about, because it is a super fun building challenge that you might be interested in yourselves. So you'll see that the house started out and there was like a big present in the middle of the lot, and underneath that present is all of the items that you have to use in your build. So this is the mystery box challenge. And if you look it up on the gallery in the Sims 4 mystery box challenge, you should be able to find like a few different kind of styles of mystery box challenge on there. And the idea behind this particular challenge is that you download the lot from the gallery, and it'll be covered up in some sort of way. In this case, it was presents, and underneath the presents are a whole lot of items. This includes the wallpapers. It'll include the flooring, well, it did in this case anyway. Wallpapers, flooring, all the items, and you're not allowed to change the swatches. Not allowed to change the swatches, which is tough. Can I tell you? Really tough. This challenge was hosted by Jamie Sim. So thank you, Jamie, for this fabulous building challenge. Like, it really made me sweat. I was just like, gah. As I was trying to work out how to put this build together. Absolute challenge. So you get all these items for your house, and you're not allowed to change the swatch of them. You're not allowed to hide the items, and aka shrink them down and put them under things. And you have to use all the items in this box. So absolutely everything there that I've placed off to the side of the build, I've had to use in this in this shell. And I did change lots because the lot that I was building on had a terrible gallery view. So I was just like, nah, we're changing lots. Thank you very much. And I think I changed to San Sequoia, possibly. Kind of looks like San Sequoia. I don't know, it's going too fast. Anyhow, I think it's San Sequoia, possibly. Anyway, changed lots and getting underway. So there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think, wallpaper choices that we had. So we had the brick and we had the eco lifestyle wallpaper. There was the leaf wallpaper, I think, from base game. There was a bathroom tile, and there was a navy wallpaper as well. So those were the 5 wallpapers that I could use. There was also 5 floor tiles that I could use as well, and there were columns that I had to use. There was fencing I had to use. So there was 2 different types of column. So one column was the bright blue one that you can see there from Love Struck, and the second column was the one from Horse Ranch. And yeah, the thing with this is that you could actually add items to this build. So as long as you have all the items in the build, you haven't hidden anything and you haven't changed any colors of the items, then you can actually add items to this build as well, just to fill it out. So it was interesting because you kind of had to approach this in a really different way. First off, you had to think about what size build you were going to make. I was very conscious of not making it too enormous, because I looked at the amount of items in the house and there was quite a few there, but even then it wasn't going to support like an enormous house. So I did go a little bit, I guess, more moderate in terms of the size of the house. Like, it's not a small house, but it's a moderate size family home. It ends up being a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom home. And then the other part of that is using those items somehow in the build. And let me tell you, these items did not necessarily coordinate very well. I find it interesting that I did this little area here, and this is quite an interesting area, it turns out to be, because I was building the house. It's not a shell challenge. I could have built like a whole shed out the back or something like that, but I decided to create like this little pergola area, and this little area evolved into being like a party area. So it's like a set up party zone, because there was all these little items that really lent itself to a party vibe. you can sort of actually see right in the front of the screen right there, there's some balloons, and it's like the balloons that are attached to like some pillows. So there was quite a few little items that, yeah, did lend itself to a party kind of vibe. So that ended up being like quite an eclectic little party zone. Um, yeah, it's just sort of the space I feel like that the items that I couldn't really find a place for went. And do you know what? Despite the fact that this was the area that I placed all the items that I couldn't find a place for in, it ended up looking quite funky because the items that I couldn't really fit in the house just sort of all worked ish together as well. So yeah, it ended up being something that kind of did work ish. I think I pulled it off. But yeah, there was the points during this build where I was just like, oh man, nothing is matching. This is horrible. I don't like it. Oh, I just went through the dramas of it all. It was a whole journey, this one. But got there in the end. So this is one of the fencings that I had to use, this particular fencing here. So I did have to really think about how I wanted to use that and utilize that in the build. As you can see here, I ended up using it as pool fencing, but I did also end up using it inside. I found this fencing a little bit easier to use than the reddish kind of brown fencing that I ended up using in the party area, because it just like really didn't work with anything. And same with this flooring. It was a challenge to use that flooring, and this brick flooring as well. Oh, some of the flooring was actually quite challenging. I liked the wood flooring, and the tiles ended up working out really nicely for me. But some of the flooring, just it's the color mismatching. And I'm one of those builders that really does like to coordinate as much as I can when I'm building. So I think that was the thing that really made me sweat with this particular challenge, was that I had to accept that these items were not necessarily going to be perfectly coordinated, and then I had to make them work in a different way. And that was really, really the hardest part of this challenge, is just really working out how to do that as a builder. So I thought that was really interesting, and yeah, made me sweat as a builder, and I appreciated that. Also hated it, but appreciated it at the same time. It was a learning experience, and pushing myself to really accept a non-coordinated build. Like, it's not a mess. It's not a hot mess at all, actually. It turned out pretty good as far as that goes, but not everything was to the way that I would normally build it, and I had to really, just let go and accept that that was not going to be the case, that it was not going to be the way that I necessarily wanted it to be. What I'm doing at the moment is, and this is how I sort of approach the interior when I moved on to this stage of things, is that I'm actually looking at all of the items in this build and working out which rooms they would go in, and which items would coordinate together. So I did have a single bed and a double bed. I ended up replicating the single bed because I did a 3-bedroom home rather than a 2-bedroom. Then I ended up changing that bed anyway as just like an extra bed because of colours. So I ended up just putting my own extra single bed in there, but that's fine. So yeah, there was pink items. So I ended up going through and just like collecting all the pink items and putting them into a pink bedroom, because the double bed was actually pink, and there were quite a few little pink items around the place. So I was like, right, okay, so we can do a pink room. And then there was like kind of a green room with one of the single beds, and then like the other single bed I turned kind of red because we had like quite a few red items. So the second single bedroom, it trended towards being red. So that was sort of how I started to think about it. As I was looking at the items, I was just working out the different colors and how to, blend them together, and with colors that do coordinate as much as I can. So you can sort of see my party area starting to come together, like rainbow curtains. Come on. Oh, I came up with this flooring idea, and I was delighted by this. So by doing like little triangles in the middle, I created like a whole new flooring look for the bathrooms in here. So that's using the tile. I think it's from the Oasis Courtyard kit, as well as the base game octagon tile. No, something. Anyway, the hexagon tile, I think, yeah, hexagon, that might be the right one. And combine the two, and then it just created like a whole new flooring, and that delighted me. I was just like, yay! That's a trick that I'm going to take forward with me. So, you never know when you're doing like a build challenge like this and you're forced into creativity. Sometimes you come up with some really cool things that you're going to stick with as a little building tool that's in your building belt. I don't know, building toolbox or whatever. And you remember it, and then you sort of use that another time. And so, it's like that every time you build, you sort of might pick up something or learn something or discover something or put something together, and you're just like, oh, that clicks in my brain. I really like that. And then you carry that forward as a builder in The Sims 4. And that flooring, I remember that flooring. I was so excited about it, and that's something that I will want to do again in another build, because I thought it was like, a really cool way to recreate the flooring in these bathrooms. So yeah, I was hyped by that. Anyway, the house is starting together. So this is a little bit different in the sense that I don't necessarily get to choose a lot of the furnishing myself. And yeah, it was definitely a struggle trying, because like some of these items were really random as well. So it's not like an easy selection of items by any stretch of the imagination. So this is really stretching, bringing these different rooms together and making it all work. Like the kitchen. the kitchen had like 2 different kinds of counter and like a mini fridge as well as the oven. I actually ended up using the mini fridge. You can see it here in my party area, because I was like, well, you know what? We would have a mini fridge in the party area, right? Which left me the ability to actually put a proper fridge as an extra item in the kitchen area as well. But, having... Oh, no, there was actually 3 different types of counters in the kitchen. No, I would never. But anyway, 3 different types of counter in the kitchen, which was a challenge. I think I ended up moving some of the kitchen islands into the party area as well. I'm just trying to remember whether or not I kept them also in the kitchen. I think I used the kitchen island seating in the party room, but I used the island counters still. I kept them, but then put a different island seating in there. I think that's what I did. Anywho, so I'm getting towards the end of all the items and just like working out which rooms they go in. Like you had like these, odd waste paper baskets that, just had like odd colors in them, like, baby blue and baby pink. And it's just like, where on earth am I going to put this in the house, But it actually came down to, and I found this, like you get the items in there and you just work out which rooms they're going to go in, and how they're going to coordinate together. Like in the living room, I had green chairs and purple chairs, and green and purple actually work really nicely together. So, it was just not necessarily thinking like all blues together and all greens together. It's working out, which colors actually marry together really nicely that you could coordinate together as items in a room. So yeah, it was kind of a couple of things going on there as far as working that out, but we're getting there with it. So just, I guess finding spaces for everything was the true challenge. And I think that party room really was a teeny bit of a cop out, but I did create a party room with it, and it used the items that I couldn't find other places for, just because there's some items in there that just were not going to work with this house. Just were not going to work. And I came up with something for it, so that's the main thing. Oh, I also ended up adding a garage to this house as well. So, I had a couple of things that actually worked really nicely, or fit really nicely in a garage, as it turned out. So it worked out quite nicely, but most of the garage stuff I just added the Restoration Workshop kit to, because it just sort of worked that way, garage stuff and that sort of thing. So yeah, I think I'm just about down to the little bits and pieces of clutter around the place. I've done all the wallpapers. Oh, you might not have noticed this, by the way, but when I did the pool, there was the wavy navy blue carpet that had to go somewhere. and I didn't put it in the house. I put it at the bottom of the pool. I didn't hide it. I just put it at the bottom of the pool, and it actually looked really cool down there. And I realized it's carpet in the bottom of a pool, but oh well. It worked there, and it looked, it looked quite neat with the waves and stuff underneath there. So I was just like, oh well, it works there. And I got all of the different flooring in, so yay me! Some of it was not easy to do. So yeah, just working out what I want to do with this backyard, because we had quite a bit of space in the back. Actually, we had quite a bit of space altogether in the yard. So it was just a case of working out what I wanted to do with that space. Probably could have done a smaller lot. I think this was like a 40 by 30 lot. Let me check. No. Okay. Yeah, it is. It's a 40 by 30 lot. Probably could have gone smaller, but I needed the room to work, and I wasn't really quite sure, yeah, how much space I was going to need. So 40 by 30 is, yeah, it's a decent sized lot without being like, ridiculously oversized. So ended up going in that direction. So I think from this point, because I've got all the items inside the house or inside, like in their different areas, what I'm going to do now is actually start to add to the house. And once I finish the landscaping and working out what's going to be all around the house, what I found with the challenge was that that was the point of the challenge where you've got everything down and you've got your outside done and bits and pieces like that. So it's all looking pretty good. And then on the inside, what you're left with is the challenge of balancing what you've put in the build. And I feel like that was probably one of the more challenging parts of this, although I do feel like having to do something with each of the items was also probably the make you sweat part. But the part where you are just bringing in your extra items and making it work, that was a whole other challenge as well, because normally when you're decorating a house, right, you're decorating room by room and you're balancing as you go. But in this instance, I didn't have the opportunity to balance because I'm just getting the items in the house and then I'm just going back out, finishing the exterior, and then I'm going back inside the house and I'm looking at what I've got and then working out what I can add to each of the rooms to really make it balance and make it look like it is a cohesive-ish room. And that wasn't the easiest thing to do because, it required a lot of just really thinking about what was there, how to use those colors, and then how to pull them all together to make it look like it was, as I said, in a whole cohesive kind of room. So, yeah, that was quite an interesting part of the challenge. At the moment, what I'm building is the garage. So, just bringing that into play. I just kind of had this big space at the front of the house, and I was just like, oh, I don't really just want to leave it empty or anything like that. So I thought, well, a garage would make sense. Family home, you're going to get things in the garage, for extra storage and stuff. And yeah, that ended up working quite nicely. I just made my own garage door there, as you do. I felt like the Seasons windows in that color actually ended up working quite nicely with the grey brick. So I thought that was a nice combo. And then around the back, you'll probably see a little bit later, I add like a hopscotch and a basketball court as well. So there's actually quite a lot to do with this family home. Like there's like a seating area, there's the party area, there's a pool area, there's like basketball and hopscotch for the kids, and yeah, I think there's like little bits of playground equipment as well around the front too. So yeah, I think it's a really good family home. It ended up, even if there are items in this build that I would never ever put in a build like this. Like, not to say the items are bad, just like they wouldn't just suit the style of build. And I had stuff, like the bright blue columns with the house and, things like that. Just working out how to balance all of that. Oh, that was tough, man. But anyway, Restoration Workshop Kit was what I used in the garage. I just shrunk the garage down a smidge, but that's a handy kit for garages, isn't it? I love it. So this is the playground equipment here at the front, just giving it the family vibes. And when I built this, I was building this on stream, and I got a suggestion for tying it all together with the pops of the blue flowers, because we have those blue columns around the place. And I thought, you know what, that's a great idea. Let's bring in the pops of blue around the house, and just, you know, that's a way of, again, just balancing it out and coordinating all the colors that we've already got on the exterior. So the blacks and the grays and the bright pops of blue and the light browns as well. So yeah, that's why I sort of brought in the bright blue flowers, just to work with the color of the pool and also the color of the columns that we had, and you know, like the party room area and stuff, just to make it look a little bit more cohesive. That was the plan, and I feel like it did work. Like, it looked really pretty with all the flowers around, and I really do like the lupins and the, what are they? I don't know, whatever the other flowers are called, from the Romantic Garden Stuff pack. That's a good little pack for, you know, cute, pretty flowers and garden things. So just getting towards the end of the exterior of the house, and then I will get into just doing the last part, which is balancing it all out. So, you know, I can add in the items and try and make it all work. Not easy. Oh yeah, I was trying to decide what I wanted to do with this area. I was going to do like all flowers, just kind of, then I was kind of like, eh. So I decided to do like a little path in there, like a little seat, and like the pretty flowers all around it, and just make it like a little pretty seating area, really. And I think it worked quite nicely, like, you know, like a nice little peaceful zone where you can hang out and smell the flowers and maybe watch the kids muck around, you know, have a party while you're maybe the kids could have a tea party while you're just sitting there in the nice garden and watching them and making sure that they're not eating too many muffins or something. Too many cupcakes for the tea party. Oh dear. So yeah, the last bit of the landscaping on the exterior. So this is the basketball court that is just going into the back, and then I did like a little hopscotch thing, and the bins as well. So I love the fact that we've got like the different color bins from Businesses and Hobbies, by the way. You know, that you can make them like look a little bit more authentically, like, you know, you've got a recycling bin and a waste bin and that sort of thing. You can see the carpet down there. See, I did use the carpet, and it was hidden away at the bottom of the pool. Well, it wasn't hidden, it was just there at the bottom of the pool because that's where I wanted to place it. And and I did like a little yoga area out by the pool as well, because I thought, you know, meditation, yoga, a little bit of sunbathing on the towels, it all works a treat. So now we are in the tricky part of it all, balancing it all out and making it all work. And this was definitely a little bit of mucking around, trial and error, and just like really deciding what was missing from these particular rooms. You know what, this is one of my favorite areas in the build, is this little seating area here with the purple and the dark blue. I love that combo. And by the time I added that, you know, that painting in there and a plant, it was just like, oh, I like that. You know, that's my kind of, with the rug and everything, my kind of style. I love that. I kind of, it makes me want to do a purple and blue build. Purple is so hard in The Sims though. I do steer away from them just because of that reason, because purple is so hard. But there's some beautiful eggplant kind of shades and stuff in the game now, or like your berry shades as well, eggplant and berry. So you know, there really is some nice purple shades in the game, but it's just not enough of everything to really do a full-on purple build. But purple and dark blue would be absolutely awesome. And like these pops of green here in this room, I mean, you know, matching the purple and the green, I felt like worked really nicely in this room, because they're quite different styled furnishings as well. And that was part of the problem, was like you had this more traditional style couch and then like these modern looking chairs. It's like, how do we bring this together? But it worked. And yeah, and then also in the bathrooms you had like one black shower, and then like again you had modern stuff, and then you had like more traditional like style bathtub. It was such a mishmash of different styles, but there's a reason I call this an eclectic family home, and that's because it is eclectic. There's like an eclectic assortment of different furnishings from different kind of styles and different colors, and that was a challenge though, right? Getting it all to work together and look like it was supposed to be like that. Definitely a challenge, but it was a lot of fun. But anyway, the bathroom is coming together. I've got all the little bits and pieces that should be there, and there, as I think I mentioned earlier, there's three bathrooms, 3 bedrooms in this build. So there's a bathroom downstairs, there's an ensuite upstairs, and another bathroom upstairs as well, to share between the 2 bedrooms. But I just kept it pretty plain on the walls. I wasn't initially going to do a feature wall, but because I had such a vibrant floor in that room. I felt like I didn't need a feature wall in the end with the bathrooms, and I felt like it balanced out quite nicely with the blacks and the blues and the whites. Wasn't too bad. This kitchen. This kitchen took a bit of figuring out because we've got the 3 different kinds of counters, and we had that bright blue oven which I couldn't avoid. So I had to sort of bring in like the blues and the oranges was ended up being the tones that I used in this particular room. Although, did I keep this wallpaper? I feel like I did. Yeah, I feel like I did because I brought in those sort of tones of orange that worked quite nicely with the blue, and I kind of hid-ish behind a half wall the fact that each of the there's 3 different kinds of counter in this build. And I did add in like heaps of clutter, use the kitchen clutter kit in heavy amounts for this build or for this room, because it just, you know, it filled all these little spaces and gaps underneath the counters, and it just, I figured the more clutter, the less you'd notice the counters underneath. It's just like I'm using the counters, but I'm hiding them underneath all the clutter. But it worked out. It was fine. Like, I felt like it wasn't like a completely weird space. Like, it kind of worked, right? It worked. I did struggle with the dining chair options that we had given to us. I did use them around the place, so I think I used them like in the party area and maybe up in a bedroom as well. So I did get to choose my own dining table chairs to work in with this room, fortunately, because the chairs that I had just were like, I think bright pink and like teal. It was just like, and like in a more traditional style. I was just like, oh man. Oh, but anyway, we're getting there. So blues and browns and oranges was the vibe that I was going for in this particular room. So it's just finding those items that really pulled the room together to make it work as a cohesive thing. Then I still have the laundry room to do downstairs, but otherwise downstairs is done. So this is going upstairs. So in the landing area, I am just creating like a little sort of, I guess, home office-y kind of zone. So you've got like your desk and you've got like your bookshelves and like a little bit of seating and that sort of thing there. So yeah, just turned it into like a little hangout home office, like second lounge kind of area. And I think that worked quite nicely for what we were doing. And I was able to add in like, you know, lots of bits and pieces there, and as well as use the clutter that we were given for the challenge as well. So win, win, win. Although I did struggle with that painting with the world on it. I was just like, oh, it didn't go with anything, man. It's like, oh, not the best. Anywho, you work around it, right? But yeah, just as I said, just it's all about finding that balance. Oh, I'm just down into the laundry area because we got a washer and dryer and like I've got a sink in there. There wasn't too much more to add to the laundry area. It was pretty much done. This is one of the upstairs bathrooms, so I'm just sort of working out the spacing and how that's going to sort of sit there and how to get the balance in the room. So I did feel like because we had the black shower, I did need to bring black into the bathrooms just to make it not look like it was just a random black shower. So again, it was just like working things out and making it balance with the little bits of clutter and things. Now this bedroom here, this is the pink bedroom, and this is the swatch that we got for the double bed, and then I just coordinated that with all of the blue all the pink items that were in the, I was looking at the blue bin thinking blue, all the pink items that were given to us. So it was just a matter of like making them work as a cohesive bedroom. I don't know how well I did because we've got like a couple of bathroomy type things in there, but it was fine. We had like a couch and we had a dresser and a mirror. So I'm just adding in like, you know, more dresser clothes and things like that. This bedroom here took me a little bit of figuring out just to decide what colors and stuff I was going to go in here, because that teal bed didn't really go with a great deal. But yeah, it was just me figuring out items. There was like this little ottoman thing that I couldn't find a space for. It was like a purpley, it almost went there, but it just wasn't quite right. And then I was like, oh, I can put it in the party room as a coffee table. That worked a treat. Oh boy. Anywho, so I decided to pair this particular room with black. And I feel like that ended up working out quite nicely because obviously the green wallpaper and the teal bed don't necessarily match. But by contrasting that with the black, I think I managed to overcome that a little bit, so it was okay. Then there was this bedroom here. So this bed here is actually a spare bed. I just copied what was already here, but I actually could just put any bed I liked in here. So when I realized that, I was able to coordinate the room like a little bit better. I've never, I don't think, used that furnishing in that red color ever. So it was actually quite fun to be able to use that in this room because it, had the mirror with the little speech bubble, exciting thing. And yeah, I did quite, a little bit Asian inspired in that room. And I thought that was really funky. I had fun with this bedroom, mainly because I could actually just add a whole lot of my own stuff in here. I mean, some of the reds don't coordinate perfectly, and that kind of bugged me, yes, but it wasn't too bad. Like, it worked okay. So, yeah, I was pretty happy with it in terms of how it came out and how it sort of coordinated. And then this is the party area. So I did really lean into the fact that this was a party area. So, it wasn't just a random collection of items that I couldn't find anywhere to place. I wanted to actually make it a proper party zone. So I leaned into the party essentials kit. Yeah, it's a kit. And I had to think for a moment, it's not a stuff pack, is it? No. And just brought in like lots of balloons, cake stands, and lights and snacks and all those things, and really just leaned into the whole party vibe. I was like, you know what? If I'm building a party room, I'm just going to lean into it and really make it a party room. So that's what I did. It's bright, it's colourful, it's fun, and it just uses a whole lot of items that are bright and colourful and fun, and I didn't know where else to put. Kind of perfect. Yeah, it worked out okay. Anyway, and I did come up with something here as well that I quite like, using that wall and behind the flowers, and using the flowers creeping up the wall. I thought that was quite cute. I was like, oh, I'm going to use that again as well. Just one of those little build ideas that you sneak away in your brain as you work things out. And then I did like a little fire pity type thing. I don't think it's actually functional. Oh no, it was functional. I did get it to work, I think. But yeah, it's like a little coffee table on the ground. So anyway, this is the tour of the build and how it ended up. So I think you guys saw most of it. I don't think I skipped over too much as far as the build goes. I love the fact that you light the fire and you got the smoke coming out the chimney. I love that little fact. It's so cute. But it should suit a really nice little family of 3 or 4. You could fit a family of 3 or 4 in there very easily. And if you wanted to put bunk beds in instead of the single beds, then you can fit more in there as well. So there's plenty of room there. I mean, as I said, it's a 40 by 30 lot, so heaps of space for getting, for getting things done on the outside as well. So yeah, I think it ended up looking pretty good. Considering how much this made me sweat, I ended up being pretty happy with how it all came together, and the fact that it wasn't hideously mismatched and all over the place. In hindsight, I think like doing a mismatched kind of cottagey thing might have been quite a good idea for this build, but in saying that, there was quite a lot of modern items as well. So I don't know, hard to say, but it all came together nicely in the end. I think I've remembered to do the ceilings. I hope. I don't know if I remembered light switches, but anyhow, it is what it is. I did what I did. So yeah, it all came together in the end, and that's the main thing. And I think each of the rooms had their different themes and the different colors and stuff, and pulled it all together by using those themes. And I think that worked out in the end. And being able to add in the extra items at the end of the challenge really did help me be able to coordinate this build a little bit more, which was definitely needed because yeah, it was struggling with what we just had. So you definitely need to add in those extra items towards the end, but I felt like making sure that I had all of the items in place first so that I didn't miss anything was probably the most important thing, and then you could add to it a little bit later and make it work. Like, this bedroom is madness. It kind of works, but it's just like a whole lot of madly placed random items that don't necessarily work together. But it's eclectic, and that's the idea. That was kind of the direction I went with it anyhow. And you know what? I kind of oddly really like this room. Not my usual type, but that's all good. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you guys had fun, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.